Hey guys, E10 here from SunBros, and today I am really excited to be bringing you guys another how to build video as we cover the brand spanking new marksman Tel'Annas. Now before we get started, as always, I want to ask you guys, if you guys enjoy the content, please give a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and of course check out our other content like our how-to videos and our top 5s, and of course our Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday night live streams. Alright guys, and as we get started, as we always do, actually we're going to be looking at Tel'Annas' hero page. We're going to go over her abilities, kind of go over what makes her who she is, what makes her tick, and we're going to figure out what best way to build her in order to take advantage of her abilities. Alright, Morningstar. Tel'Annas' passive increases her attack damage whenever there's ally heroes nearby. That isn't really going to help in how we build Tel'Annas, but it's a nice passive to have in teamfight. It should be a little more effective than your average marksman. Her first ability is her big ability, and it's called Eagle Eye. After learning this ability, Tel'Annas' normal attacks reduce the target's movement speed by 6%, stacking up to 5 times. So that's just a passive portion of this ability, which you're going to get for doing nothing. But the big boy part of this ability is, after activating this ability, Tel'Annas' range is significantly increased, and her attack speed increases by 20%, and it actually goes up to 35% by level 6. For 3 seconds. Also, her normal attacks are imbued with dark power and deal additional magic damage. And while active, normal attacks place an additional stack of the movement speed, reducing effect, so it'll stack twice as fast. So 3 shots, it'll be a full 30% movement speed reduction. Alright, next ability is Penetrating Shot. Tel'Annas fires 3 arrows, simultaneously dealing damage to enemies and slowing them down. Not a whole lot to that one. And then, of course, her ultimate, Arrow of Chaos. After charging up for a short period of time, Tel'Annas combines the power of darkness and Morningstar and fires an arrow of chaos, dealing a bunch of damage. And the further the enemy is, the more damage they take. And of course, enemies along the arrow's path are knocked back and stunned. Tel'Annas also gains movement speed for 2 seconds. Okay, so the first thing I want to kind of point out is the cooldown on Arrow of Chaos starts at 45 seconds, goes down to 35. So it's a pretty high cooldown for an ultimate, especially for a marksman. And then the second ability has a 9-second cooldown. It goes all the way down to 6.5 seconds. And of course, the first ability, the Big Daddy, is at 10 seconds flat and it doesn't change. Now, one of the things that we would likely want to do is build some cooldown reduction on Tel'Annas. Unfortunately, it's not really a possibility, and the reason why is because Tel'Annas really needs to do a lot of damage, and there's not enough items in the attack damage tree that have really solid cooldown reduction. So if we actually switch to one of those, or we go to like a defensive item with 20% cooldown reduction like the Aegis, we'll actually be really hurting ourselves on our damage, and it's not really quite worthwhile doing. So let's go ahead and go to the equipment section, and we're going to make Tel'Annas a build. Now straight off the bat, my first instinct is, especially for early game, Tel'Annas' early game can tend to be a little bit weak, as I want to give her some attack speed, because I want to build off her first ability, Eagle Eye, that does the extra magic damage with each shot, and it lasts for 3 seconds. So as many shots as you can get off with that extra range and the extra attack, the extra damage, actually magic damage you're going to be doing on each shot, the better. And I'm going to do that by giving her Fafnir's. Fafnir's is going to give her a decent attack damage, 30% attack speed, a little bit of life steal to start off the game, and of course the 8% current HP damage. So when she really goes into her Eagle Eye ability, those abilities are not only going to be doing the magic damage from the actual ability itself, which at full build can top out around 350 extra magic damage, but they're going to be doing the 8% current target HP also. So not too bad at all. We'll kind of double dip into that, and we'll be really starting off early game, really doing some pretty substantial damage, especially when Eagle Eye's up. Then we're going to go to boots, of course, and I'm going simple, easy, Gilded Greaves. She's very, very squishy, and she has little to no escape. So the ability to be under crowd controlling effects for 35% less time is always going to be a solid thing to do. And then we're going to go back to attack and build our big boy crit item, Clave Sancti. 100 attack damage is always really nice to have, and we know that how solid the passive are. First of all, we're looking at the bottom passive. Increase critical chance strike by 30%, which if you have good Arcanas, you'll already be doing pretty well to start the game. 30% is just a big old bonus on top. And then the second passive, Gift of the Swift, after dealing a critical hit, it increases movement speed is increased by 3 per hero's level. So you know, whether it's 30 or 45, 30 at level 10 or 45 at level 15. It only lasts for 1.5 seconds, but I believe it gets refreshed as you hit people, so if you keep getting crits. The next item is going to be kind of what I consider to be the pair of Clave Sanctity. Anytime you get Clave Sanctity on someone, you should definitely, almost always, without question, be taking Slick Steam. Not only do you get an extra 20% crit chance, putting you at 50 pre-Arcana, but you're getting more attack speed, which we've talked about how important that is. So now, when Eagle Eye's up, we have 30% attack speed from Slick Sting, 30% attack speed from Fafnir's. You add into that the 35% you get at level 6 for her first ability, Eagle Eye, and you're rocking 95% extra attack speed with just these items. And of course, Slick Sting's incredible passive movement speed is nice, obviously, but the incredible passive critical damage increased by 50%, so your crits are going to hit even harder. So if you go into Eagle Eye mode, let's say at this point we're getting off, 5 shots per the 3 seconds that it's up, then we're getting the 8% from Fafnir's, 8% of current HP from Fafnir's. We're getting the extra magic damage from her first ability, Eagle Eye, which at this point is probably in the 200s. And then we're, of course, going to be critting hits, and not only critting hits, because we're at this point we're at 50% plus Arcana, so I'll be actually around 60% at this point, personally, because I have some pretty nice Arcana for that. But they're going to be hitting 50% higher, and in my case, I have the Arcana that gives you crit chance, plus it gives you crit damage. So I'm actually going to be hitting 80% higher crit damage shots. So if I crit, let's say play the percentage as 60% crit, I could crit 2 or 3, let's say 3 of those 5 shots. I mean, the damage is staggering. You could easily kill a squishy in those 5 shots. I mean, easily. You could even 1 or 2 shots on people in the right circumstances. If they're low level, you're higher level, and then you're critting with one of your shots on you could easily crit and kill somebody with 1 shots, maybe 2. Now, next, what we're going to do is, we've talked quite a bit about how fragile Tel'Annas can actually be. She's squishy, she has no mobility, no dash. I mean, she has some issues staying safe. Her range is her biggest contributor to her life, and what we're going to do to help that out is we're actually going to go the Beast. Now, a lot of people aren't huge fans of the Beast, and I don't quite understand why. The lifesteal you get, now we have 35% lifesteal, and it's great. I mean, you could, what it does for you at this point in the game is it's like doubling your life in a team fight, because you're healing mass amounts of health as you're taking damage. And then if you end a team fight by getting away or killing the enemy hero, or let's say it's like a two death trade for both teams, and you get out with low health, you could go into the jungle, kill 1 monster, be right back at full health. It's a really powerful tool. Don't have to back to be able to continue to push out laner. That's another great point. You have that 2v2 lost team fight, and you have almost no health. You could actually go to the next lane and then push out the wave, because 1 wave will fill you right back up to full, and she's an incredible wave pusher and an incredible tower killer. And then what we're going to end it on is 1 of 2 items, and I'm going to give you your choice based on the game and the way that it's going. If there's either one really oppressive tank, or 2 to 3 decent tanks, because you could have a main tank, an off tank, and sometimes you have like a really tanky jungler, like a butterfly, for example, or like a really tanky support. Because they're not unheard of or unreasonable to have a couple different kinds of tanks, or people who are building armor or something like that. So if you have, if tanks are a problem in your game, people who have a lot of armor, then you're going to want to take Muramasa here at their off spot. Now, more often than not, you're not going to get that many tanks, and you're going to have somebody on the enemy team who's dealing a lot of damage, like an assassin or a marksman, or maybe even a mage, a squishy. And what we're going to do for that is actually go to Rank Breaker. At this point, you should be level 15. Rank Breaker gives you 10% cooldown reduction, which is nice to be able to get, your Eagle Eye ability 1 second sooner, and your ultimate 3.5 seconds sooner. But you're going to get 100 attack damage. It's going to big time buff you. You're going to get more movement speed when exiting battle, which doesn't really help you in this scenario. But she gets movement speed from a couple of these different items. So it's not too shabby. And then you're going to get 100 armor pierce plus 10 per level, adding up to 250 total armor pierce, which is a pretty good amount to really burst down squishies. And it's obviously going to make a big difference on tanks, and just not as much as Muramasa in some cases with certain builds. But that is actually going to be our build on Tel'Annas for now. I'm always subject to make any kind of edits and changes. I'll give you guys a couple other items I did consider taking. I did consider taking Devil's Handshake. The reason I ended up passing on it in the end is because after doing some testing, I realized that there was not really an item I wanted to swap it out for, and Devil's Handshake ended up having some big issues because the max on attack speed is 200%, in case you didn't know, and Devil's Handshake takes me way past 200% attack speed with all that I have going on here, so it didn't actually end up being super worth it. Blitz Blade is another item I thought about, but I'm not a huge fan of Blitz Blade. I do enjoy the stats on it. It would have gone good with her in some degrees, but I think the passive isn't nearly as good as people think it is. It goes off once every 8 seconds, and the damage is minimal. I mean, I do more damage with a single shot on Fafnir than, you know, every single shot on Fafnir than Blitz Blade does, really. And then Fenrir's is obviously another item. Now, I will say, there's a solid chance if I sell boots on this build, I'm either going Fenrir's or Omni Arms. Probably Fenrir's, because that is a lot of damage. So with squishies, if you don't kill him on the first shot, you're guaranteed to kill him on the second shot with Fenrir's. It's a really big difference maker. But in the end, I decided these are the best items on her to really give her the most utility, you know, sustain, and then just max incredible burst damage. You have fast attack speed, you have a good amount of crit and a bunch of crit damage, and you're just hitting like a freight train. And when you're in Eagle Eye mode, it's even harder and worse for the enemy. And it's a really big damage build. And Tel'Annas is a really big damage hero, so it makes a lot of sense for her, and I feel like it really synergizes with her kit, and of course it gives her that big fat disgusting damage you're gonna be wanting. Now, going 35 to 50% damage on this build is not unusual. It does do that much damage, and I don't put a tank item here, but really one of the things about Tel'Annas is she's team dependent, and if you're willing to build tank on a marksman, you probably either have really bad positioning, or you're not playing with proper tanks and off tanks who can help you in any way, shape, or form. And one of those two things probably you need to look at getting fixed. But so this is the build, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching it with me. If you guys did, please give a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and of course check out our other how to play videos, our top 5s, and our Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday night live streams. But thanks for watching, guys, and as always, until next time.